Coming up, we learn how Tzu Chi volunteers offer assistance to those affected by the chemical explosion in Tianjin, China. We meet filial daughter Jiang Huanting, who donated 65% of her liver to save her father. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Helen Nell. Thank you for joining us. It has been nearly 1 month since the chemical explosion in Tianjin, China. In the immediate aftermath of the event, Tzu Chi volunteers in the area mobilized to help the victims in any way they could. Among the volunteers who have sprung to action is Wang Wanjun, who continues to hold down a 9-to-5 job, but devoting his other time to Tzu Chi. Next, let's take a look back at how Tzu Chi volunteers have come to the aid of those in need.
On August 12th, following the chemical explosion in Tianjin, China, Tzu Chi volunteers in the area rushed to the disaster zone, despite being shorthanded to help in whichever way they could.
At the time, we discovered that many of the charity organizations were providing daily necessities. However, we felt that the residents needed comforting, especially the females, who were in a state of shock.
Working in teams, Tzu Chi volunteers did what they do best during times of disaster and console the frightened residents.
Many of the residents arrived at the shelter frightened and scared. But through Tzu Chi's comfort, the station chief told us that when they left, it seemed as if they were different people, that they walked out no longer distraught.
For more than 2 weeks, volunteers comforted nearly 1,000 residents and handed out consolation cash to 417 families.
When you give selflessly with no ulterior motive, people are quick to accept your assistance, as well as being moved by your actions.
The rescue station authorities saw how much the emotional support Tzu Chi volunteers provided helped the blast victims and have followed up with the victims to make sure they receive the same assistance once back home. Meanwhile, returning to the scene of the tragedy, the clock in the square is stuck at 11:38, the time the blast occurred. The explosion's impact could be seen everywhere, including Tzu Chi volunteer Wang Wanjun's office.
Where my finger is pointing is where my office was. 80% of the building was damaged. We can't return to work there.
Wang worked in a bank that was 1.2 kilometers away from ground zero. To continue banking operations, some 1,700 employees have turned a hotel conference room into an office.
I need to take care of work as well as Tzu Chi's tasks, such as communicating with the government. There are really lots to do.
Burning the candle at both ends, Wang has not slept more than 5 hours a night since the incident occurred.
During working hours, I concentrate on my tasks at work. When I'm off of work, I dedicate myself entirely to Tzu Chi. The gears in my brain never stop turning, but in a way, I'm fortunate to be able to shoulder the responsibilities.
By fulfilling his responsibilities at work and in Tzu Chi, Wang Wanjun is truly giving selflessly and spreading his warmth to those in need.
In Taiwan, among the hundreds injured in the Bali water park explosion back in June was 27-year-old Dai Tong, who was celebrating his birthday the day the incident occurred. Though Dai suffered burn injuries to over 40% of his body, to date he has recovered well thanks to 5 skin graft surgeries under the skillful hands of the surgeon at Taipei Municipal Wanfang Hospital. And in early September, the young man was able to return to work once more.
Here in Taipei, Taiwan, Dai Tong, a victim of the Bali water park explosion, is happy to return to work.
When Wei Tong isn't here, we all do a bit more to cover his duties. We knew he would come back. We were all waiting for him.
Wei Tong is very thankful that he has such a thoughtful boss and co-workers that covered for him while he recovered from his injuries.
My dexterity has recovered well, and I suffered only slight facial injuries. I consider myself very lucky. I've been able to accept and move on from what has happened.
Dai has been very diligent in his rehabilitation exercises since he left the hospital in mid-August. Now, even during his break time, DaAi doesn't forget to continue his exercises.
This helps my toes from curling in, because burn injuries cause the skin to contract. If the curling is severe enough, I may not be able to wear shoes anymore.
To celebrate his return to work, Tzu Chi volunteers brought DaAi a cake and some well wishes.
所有发现的申报的伙伴们，赶快好起来，一起回归正常生活。
With his co-workers' understanding and the encouragement of the volunteers, DaAi Weitong is soon to find a normal life once more.
The third 5-day surgical simulation this year at Tzu Chi University in Hualien, Taiwan has come to a conclusion. We now join the medical students who participated in the class and the families of the 8 silent mentors who hosted the class at the center of these teachers who taught in silence.
In the solemn ceremony filled with blessings and gratitude, 8 silent mentors are sent off. Zhang Wenxiong was a devoted Tzu Chi recycling volunteer for years. His frugal way of life won him the respect of his family and friends.
He didn't waste anything. He used anything that was still usable. After he passed on, he left many brand new things behind, while his clothes were patched up over and over again.
A 5th-year med student, Zhang Yuqi, attended an anatomy class hosted by silent mentor Chen Chuanxing 2 years ago and befriended his wife, Chen Zhu Baodao, who hosted the recent surgical simulation. Thus, he is also here today to send her off.
When it's about coming to terms with death, we young people are inexperienced. But from my 2 mentors, I saw their courage. I shall always remember that they said to respect all life and to empathize with my patients.
Inside an auditorium, those who participated in the 5-day surgical simulation paid their final respects to the 8 silent mentors who hosted the class.
The silent mentors and their families helped us bridge the gap between knowledge in textbooks and real-life practice.
Footage of the life of the silent mentors is shown one last time.
Though he has passed on, he continues to set an example for us and teaches us about giving selflessly. We really have a hard time letting him go.
It took the selfless sacrifice of both the silent mentors and their families to cultivate these future doctors who will benefit mankind in the future.
During the surgical simulation, we learn many different medical procedures. In the future, when I deal with patients, I'll always carry Mr. Luo in my heart. I vow to always be a good doctor.
As the cremated remains of the silent mentors are enshrined, all students bow with deepest respect and gratitude and vow to devote themselves to the betterment of society.
After the 2015 Team Leader Training Seminar ending in Penang, Malaysia, the lecturers, including 5 Dharma Masters and some senior Tzu Chi volunteers from Taiwan, went to Malacca. While there, they held a talk with more than 400 volunteers at the Tzu Chi Malacca chapter and also visited some volunteers who have had to take a break due to their illnesses.
One day after the 2015 Team Leader Training Seminar, 5 Dharma Masters from Hualien's Jingsi abode went to Malacca to visit some Dharma friends.
I feel honored that the Dharma Masters came to visit me, so in the days ahead, I will get back on my feet to continue walking on Tzu Chi's Bodhisattva path.
Chen Yubao has suffered from Parkinson's disease for 8 years and misses doing Tzu Chi's work. She was deeply touched by the Dharma Master's visit and care.
My wife still wants to carry out Tzu Chi's work. The Dharma Master's visit was a big encouragement for her.
I'm very touched the Dharma masters have come a long way to visit me, so I need to make good vows. I will adopt a vegetarian diet.
The 5 Dharma masters also held a talk with more than 400 volunteers at the Tzu Chi Malacca chapter, strengthening their faith.
We
just slack off if we don't renew our initial vows after a while. Meeting the Dharma masters re-energized us. We now better understand what Tzu Chi needs and how we can serve our communities. We also reviewed Tzu Chi's principles under the Dharma masters' guidance. The 5 Dharma masters brought blessings to Malacca.
Whether it is the ill Tzu Chi volunteers or the active ones, the Dharma masters have helped renew everyone's initial vow to serve and inspire them to walk more diligently on the Bodhisattva path.
Next to me, 34-year-old Zhang Huanqing. A year and a half ago, Zhang's father was admitted into the hospital after vomiting blood. Following a thorough examination, the doctor told Zhang that her father was diagnosed with severe cirrhosis and only has 6 months to live. Thankfully, Zhang turned out to be a match that she gladly donated 65% of her liver to her father to save his life.
爸爸那时候
All of us were extremely sad when the doctor told us that my father has cirrhosis. My uncles, sisters, and I quickly went to check if any one of us was a possible match. I was overjoyed when the doctor told me that I was a match because I could save my father.
因为可以救到爸爸。爱你耶，现在爸爸已经。
I'm very happy because my father is in good health. I hope he can be healthy forever. I think my father has cirrhosis because he worked really hard. He had very high levels of ALT, but he still insisted on working night shifts. The doctor told him that he was in critical condition and he may only live for another 6 months. I was devastated because I didn't know what to do if my father passed away.
真的走掉，我要怎么办呢？
我拿了一箱
苗诶，弄橡皮啊！
我这花谁？
你们一家感情不错哦，常出去玩哦。
几乎都全家。
We asked the doctor what could we do to save my father, and Dr. Zhang told us that we can try a living donor liver transplant. My dad didn't want to undergo the surgery. Dr. Zhang told us that my father almost burst into tears when he explained the procedure.
I was extremely sad when I received the news because none of my daughters were married back then.
I have a healthy liver because of my father and mother, so what I did was nothing. He was in need of a healthy liver, so I just gave him some of my liver.
爸，你今5月几号？
我16号。
啊，要抽的有顶件抽的报告出来哦。你知道他多夸张吗？
After the transplant, my father was transferred to the isolation ward. The medical personnel told him not to wander around, but he still insisted on checking up on me. He came to visit me around the clock. His eyes were always filled with tears after visiting me.
每次眼光都给我红红的。
提到他，我就心就。I'm always sad when I think of my daughter, because she has a deep scar on her belly because of me. She had to undergo the surgery because of me too. It has been more than a year and a half since the successful liver transplant. Initially, there was an abdominal lump following the surgery. Now everything is working normally, but you still need to have checkups on a regular basis. I think it is best for you to have a liver function test and an ultrasound.
现在感觉
My life is so much better now. Before, I had trouble sleeping.
看起来肺经都没坏，胆管也没有扩张，肝脏恢复得不错，就一点。
这些都是医生。
I'm doing much better thanks to the help of the doctor and my daughter. I also want to thank my wife for taking such a good care of me. I will live life to the fullest with my daughter's donated liver.
Tzu Chi volunteer Hong Guang Meiyu is 86 this year. 3 years ago, the senior started showing symptoms of Parkinson's disease. However, her love of art and her daily painting has done much to help slow the spread of the disease. Recently, over 60 of Meiyu's paintings were put on exhibit at the Tzu Chi Songshan Liaison Office. At a recent tea gathering hosted by the office, Meiyu's numerous children and grandchildren came to celebrate her achievement and enjoy the amazing artwork created by their mother. A song is sung for the guests of honor. Tzu Chi volunteer Hong Guo Meiyu.
世上最好的妈妈。
Accompanied by family, 86-year-old Hong Guo Meiyu looks over the paintings that make up her first ever art exhibition.
The teacher said that being unique is what is remarkable. Hearing that, I had confidence to continue.
我才有信心。
他帮我画出来的。
When I was young, I turned in a painting that was done by her. The teacher right away told me that there was no way that I had painted that. It was then that I realized how good her painting really was.
When I focus, my hand doesn't tremble.
当妈妈把这个照片
When she takes those photos and gives them life on paper, it brings her a lot of joy. Every day is full of joy for her.
Despite her condition, Meiyu is also a committed recycling volunteer, and even today, her children continue to learn from her enthusiasm and dedication.
She was adopted into a family when she was just a girl, so she learned to be extremely filial with her parents-in-law, whom she saw as her parents.
病有关哦。
When facing an illness, we need to be strong and just carry on. This is what I think.
The public is encouraged to stop by the Tzu Chi Songshan Liaison Office, where Hong Guo Meiyu has put down on paper the secrets of family harmony for all to see. Next, meet 11-year-old young vegetarian Yue Xuanqu, who adopted a vegetarian diet at the age of 3. Xuanqu has embraced vegetarianism under the guidance of her vegetarian grandmother and out of respect for Master Zheng Yan, who advocates vegetarianism. To make sure Xuanqu eats healthy, her grandparents now grow their own vegetables.
好，那我们来
Let's look at the ginger. This is ginger. We tried planting ginger and succeeded.
We learn things like planting sweet potato leaves using the stalks. They're homegrown, so there is no pesticide. We can eat them without worries.
哦，碰到台风天。
When there's typhoon, we take a basin and a pair of scissors and go out to cut the vegetables. Then we can have a plate of stir-fried vegetables. We don't have to worry about rising vegetable prices or how people use more pesticides right before a typhoon comes. On our way to buy food, we passed by a fish vendor and saw some fish heads being displayed. Xuanqu pulled at my clothes and said, "Look at the poor fish. Shouldn't they be swimming happily in the water?"
Poor animals being killed, I don't think we should kill them. They have lives too.
When she was about to enter kindergarten, I brought her with me when I volunteered. When she was 3 years old, she went to volunteer training class with me and joined me when I volunteered at the Tzu Chi Neihu Liaison Office.
I love the master, so I listened to her. The master encourages us to adopt a vegetarian diet, so I did.
啊，那个木耳也是现在，它是自发的。
She did it willingly, unlike some children who are pushed into adopting a vegetarian diet. Those kids would not be happy about it.
My great-great-grandmother said that eating meat makes you dizzy. Adopting a vegetarian diet gives you a clear mind. We also need to cherish things we use and not be wasteful. We'll go a long way only if we cherish resources.
She influenced my younger sister's son, who also took part in the sutra adaptation and adopted a vegetarian diet.
I think adopting a vegetarian diet is similar to doing recycling. Adopting a vegetarian diet is a way to cleansing the body, while sorting out recyclables is cleansing the environment outside our bodies. Protecting the environment is an important lesson for both children and adults. In Kuala Lumpur of Malaysia, many young couples bring their children to recycling stations on holidays so the children can learn to recycle and cherish resources. Meanwhile, at Tzu Chi Panda in DaAi Kindergarten, a seminar on dengue prevention was held in which kindergarteners taught their parents ways to prevent the spread of dengue fever.
Dressed as mosquitoes, these 6-year-olds teach their parents how to prevent the spread of dengue fever.
Mosquito larvae turn into flying mosquitoes in 2 to 3 days.
If we don't change the water in containers such as toilet bowls and buckets, mosquitoes will hatch eggs there.
It has an effect. The children will remind us about it now that they understand. Although we know it already, it is good to have them remind us.
Meanwhile, in Kuala Lumpur, many young couples do recycling with their children. Among them are Zhong Xingyun and her family, who are often seen at the recycling station on holidays.
We hope these young mothers will bring their children along to do recycling. This can be a family activity.
They now have some knowledge of sorting recyclables. They can distinguish between colored and white paper and know how to flatten bottles. They also recycle at home and pick up garbage from the ground. This is what they've learned from doing recycling.
In sorting out recyclables, these children are learning to protect the environment and cherish resources, which will help them become responsible citizens of the future.
15 years ago, the first Jingsi Books and Cafe was established in Penang, Malaysia. Now, 15 years later, the 107 Jingsi Books and Cafe recently opened its doors to the public inside the Tzu Chi Dialysis Center. Tzu Chi volunteers and staff members hope this new store can inspire dialysis patients and their family members to embrace Dharma. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.